So you have a website. You want people to come visit your website. Most people find your website with a search engine. So you want to build your website in such a way that search engines know what you have and offer it to people when they search for relevant keywords. Now, there are a variety of ways to do this. One is to simply hope that they find your site, but another is to actually put something into your site to make it so that you can connect to the search engines and tell them about it. Let's get started on how we can do that. The first thing I want to point out is that SEO stands for search engine optimization. We're going to optimize your website for search engine use. However, that said, the most fundamental thing about SEO is that you need to have regularly created content created by people for people. If you try to write things that you think search engines are going to like, people are going to be able to tell, and they will spend less time on your website. And Google notices that. When they come to your site via their search engine, they know how long you're there. And if you stop in and immediately leave, then they think your content isn't that great, and they're not going to recommend it anymore. So what you need to do is build things that people want. And then you can start building your SEO. So let's talk about steps you can take with your website. The first thing you want to do is be proactive with search engines. There's something called Google Search Console, and there's a thing called Bing Webmaster Tools. These allow you to tell Google and Bing what you have when you have new content and things like that. You don't have to simply hope that they find your stuff. Let me show you how that works. If you Google for Google Search Console, then you'll come to this page and you can click Start Now and log in. It just takes a regular Google account. So if you already have one, you don't even need to make a new Google account. You can just use that one. And once you've created that account, then you can see things like indexing, experience enhancements. This is not Google Analytics. These are not stats. This is your status in Google. So the site that I'm connected to has 25 indexed pages, 35 not indexed, which means Google doesn't know about them. So then I can click Full Report and go in and find out why and do something about it. So you should create a Google Search Console account. However, that still doesn't connect them to your site. What you want to do next is install a plugin, if you're using WordPress, called SiteKit by Google. This is the connecting tool. It's free, it's easy, and I can even show you what it looks like. So this is mine installed, and this connects you to all of Google's properties, analytics, ads, etc. So I can see my visitors there, search traffic, etc. And if I go to settings, then you can see that I'm connected to Search Console, Analytics, and Page Speed Insights. And that tells me things like how fast it is. We can also connect to Ads, AdSense, Reader Revenue Manager, Tag Manager, etc. So this is the thing that actually connects your site to Google properties. I do recommend you set up Analytics. It's helpful for SEO, but it's not nearly as significant as Google Search Console. Now, Bing is very, very similar. Here's the homepage for Bing Webmaster Tools. This is before you log in, so this is mostly a reason to do it. Then once you have an account, just like with Google, you need to install a plugin, the Bing URL Submissions plugin, and that allows you to tell Bing about your content. This is what it looks like installed. You put in an API key, and you can do things like automate URL submissions, manual URL submissions, view stats, etc. So with both of these plugins and both of these consoles, what you're doing is when you make new content, your site tells them, hey, I have new content. Please come check it out. and tell the world about it. So rather than hope and wait for them to find it, you can be proactive. And that is key. Now, the next thing you want to do is use an SEO plugin properly. This isn't about which one is best or anything like that, because honestly, they're all pretty good and they all do very similar things. You want to do two things. You want to set up site-wide settings, and you want to customize each page and post. Let me show you what that looks like. There are several good ones. Yoast is probably the biggest, over 10 million installs. Then we have All-in-One SEO, also very popular, 3 million installs. But there are some smaller ones that are also excellent. Slim SEO is great. It only has 60,000 installs, but it works very, very well. Simple SEO has only 10,000 installs, but also works very, very well. And so you should try them out and see which one you like. But let me show you what I mean about setting up site-wide settings and page-specific settings. I'm using Yoast here, but they're again, like I said, they're all going to be very similar. We're going to go to Site Basics, and you can put in your website name and an alternate name if you have one. You may not. A tagline. You can put in a title separator. You also need to put in a site image so that when your site comes up on search results, there's an image next to it. Could be your logo, could be any image you want, but you should have something. And then there are other options here. But let me go to site representation, and you can tell Google whether you're an organization or a person. If you're an organization, you have a different logo. Then you can connect social media profiles. And then, this is important, site connections. Remember we connected to Google and Bing? You can put your verification codes right in here so that Yoast also knows about your connection to those things and can also communicate additional information to them. There are a number of options here: Ahrefs, Baidu, Bing, Google, Pinterest, Yandex, etc. So these are your site-wide settings. But there are also some things you should do for every single page and post. Let's take a look here. I'm going to go to Pages and edit my About page. And down at the bottom is this Yoast SEO box. And for every page and every post, you want to put in a focus key phrase. This could be your post or page title, but not necessarily. For example, when I do a biography about someone, I often put their name in the focus key phrase rather than whatever the title is. Then you want to put in a meta description. So this is what's going to appear in search results. So right now for this page, it says about WP README generator, nothing. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to put in a focus key phrase. There we go. And then I'm going to put in a meta description. There. Now you can see what your search results are going to look like. Now this is the mobile result. If I switch to desktop result, it looks like this. See right here, I don't have an icon. That's because I didn't set one up in my global settings. I still need to do that. However, for this particular post, you can also set a specific image. So this is what would get used on Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that. And you can do a social title, social description, and these would be different from your search results. So that's about it. It can seem a little overwhelming, but it's really not that hard. You create an account on your favorite search engine console. You connect it to your site with the right plugin. It's really easy. You just click a few buttons, and then you install an SEO plugin and you answer a few questions, the Yoast plugin has a great wizard. So it just asks you questions, you answer them, and at the end, you're set up. Then when you create content, you go in and you set up things like your key phrase and your title and description, etc. Once you do that, then your site is better prepared for search engine optimization. Now, all that said, Google doesn't pay much attention to new websites because there are too many spam sites that just appear, they're there for a few weeks or months, and then they're gone. Google doesn't really start paying attention to you for about a year. So you need to use that year to consistently create great content that's well marked up and communicates with Google, hey, look, I have new content. After that year, they trust you. They understand what you're doing, and they're much more likely to return you as a good result for a keyword search. As always, be sure to leave questions and comments in the comment section below.